Hi everybody, happy Wicked Wednesday and welcome to Shivers. In the world of Hollywood, horror movie makeup and special effects have made their presence known and have shown us some crazy things over the years. Today we're talking about the most famous special effects scenes and how some of this horror movie makeup even came to be. Makeup effects have been a commonly used tool in films for decades, but when the industry was just beginning in the early 1900s, it was rare for productions to spend time or budget on these kinds of effects. Most filmmakers took their makeup cues from techniques used in the theater, but as film quality improved, there became a need for more realistic cosmetic effects. In the mid-1920s, actors were tasked with creating their own special effects and makeup, and actor Lon Chaney pioneered special effects makeup by creating his own looks for Phantom of the Opera, kickstarting the uniqueness that makeup and latex could bring to the screen. In this film, he chose to paint his eye sockets black and use a small wire to pull back his nose. His face was given a skull-like appearance, and he finished off the look with a set of jagged teeth. While shooting the film, the wire caused his nose to bleed almost constantly. So if you see his nose bleeding in the movie, it's real. The art of film makeup really did begin in the early 1930s, though. Jack Pierce was one of the leading makeup innovators of this time and collaborated with Central Casting alum Boris Karloff in films like Frankenstein and The Mummy. According to New York Post, to create the monster's look for Frankenstein, Pierce used cotton and spirit gum to make prosthetics and green makeup that would appear ghostly white on camera. As the film industry advanced, like with the introduction of full-color motion pictures, these makeup tricks had to be adapted to maintain the realism of their effects. While special effects makeup is constantly evolving, most common current practice involves life casting. When making facial prosthetics, the first step is to completely cover an actor's head in silicone to make a mold. Once the silicone has dried, plaster strips are placed over the top to make a hard cast. Then when the plaster is set and the silicone are carefully removed from the actor's head. This negative cast is then used to create a 3D replica of the actor's face. Makeup artists use the mold as a base to create custom prosthetic pieces that will fit the actor perfectly. Getting into some of the movies that we've seen a lot of crazy effects from. So all the way back to 1954, The Creature from the Black Lagoon. The Creature from the Black Lagoon was played by Ben Chapman and Rico Browning. The total cost of the creature itself cost around $12,000. The bodysuit was created from airtight molded sponge rubber, which was designed by Millicent Patrick, a Disney animator. This was the era when special effects became popular for almost every movie. Creature from the Black Lagoon looks like an actual mascot outfit, so whenever you do look at it, know that the entire thing is made out of rubber and a mold and is literally stuck to the body of the actor. In 1979, the movie Alien came out. This is, of course, more sci-fi than it is horror, but it is worth mentioning nonetheless. H.R. Ginger designed the main character, the alien, and the alien's body was sculpted from plastine and also had vertebrae from snakes and cooling tubes from a Rolls Royce. It was incredibly complex and took over a month to make. H.R. Ginger also designed the other alien creatures in this film, such as the chest buster and the face hugger. The Alien is still considered one of the most prominent special effects movie of its era. In 1984, this is when A Nightmare on Elm Street came out, and this was what I would say kick-started more of the modern day special effects and makeup. Freddy Krueger is really one of the most famous villains of all time, and in order to construct the original Freddy, David Miller applied over a pound of latex to the actor's face to create burns. The movie used over 500 gallons of fake blood, and the scene where Nancy is attacked by Freddy in the bathtub was one of the most complex of the movie. They used a bottomless bathtub with a swimming pool underneath it. This is also the era for Friday the 13th, when Kevin Bacon gets an arrow stuck through his neck. This was a special effect created by Tom Savini and really put gore on the scenes for what we know today. It was really the start of everything that we see in horror movies today. But in mentioning Tom Savini, he is pretty much the pinnacle of horror movie makeup and special effects. He was primarily known for his work in special effects and makeup, and really keyed the term of prosthetic makeup, prosthetic effects. His signature style and techniques bring vivid realism to genre films. Early in Savini's career, Dick Smith became an inspiration and a guide, later becoming an associate of Savini's at Savini's special makeup effects program. Among other projects, Smith is known for his groundbreaking work in The Exorcist. Savini got his breakthrough working with Pittsburgh filmmaker George Romero, providing a convincing wrist-slashing effect in the opening scenes of Martin in 1978. The following year, working with a larger budget on The Dawn of the Dead, Savini created his signature palette of severed limbs and bite marks. In the 1980 slasher film Friday the 13th, Savini expanded his repertoire of blood and gore. He continued to perfect those techniques in other films later that year, like in Maniac. Along with the 1981 films The Burning and The Prowler, Savini earned the nickname of the Sultan of Splatter. In 1982, he created more traditional horror effects in the film Creepshow, directed by George Romero, written by Stephen King. In 1984, he worked on Friday the 13th, the final chapter, where he killed his creation of Jason Voorhees. Returning to the zombie genre in 1985, Savini was nominated and won the 1985 Saturn Award for Best Makeup Effects on his work on Romero's Day of the Dead. In 1986, Savini worked with director Tobe Hooper on the film The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Since then, he has been writing books, teaching different things on how to use special effects, not really doing much since 1985 in terms of on-screen special effects. In May of 2019, Slipknot lead singer and frontman Corey Taylor said in an interview that Tom Savini worked to produce and create the new masks for the upcoming We Are Not Your Kind album and subsequent tour cycles. Around the same time, Savini was approached by wrestler Bray Wyatt to design the mask for his brand new Fiend character. Today, Savini runs the Tom Savini Special Makeup Effects program at the Douglas Education Center in Monson, Pennsylvania. Savini is happy to say that he refers offers he receives for movie and special effects projects to his students and graduates of his school. Practical makeup effects are still seen and are still very common in Hollywood, but with the advancement of performance capture technology and visual effects, some productions opt to go full CGI or use a mixture of both. There are a lot of factors that can determine which method a production uses, like budget, character specifications, time, or director and actor preference. We can see this in TV shows like This Is Us, when some of the characters are getting older, some of them are staying younger, and in order to keep up with these bouncing timelines, they'll just add some wrinkles or it basically use CGI to create this like film over their faces, make them look old. And it doesn't necessarily always work, but of course sometimes it does. So that's the point of using both. But that concludes our conversation today. I hope you enjoyed learning more about special effects and makeup effects, especially in the horror genre. Leave a comment. What is your favorite or standout horror movie special effect? What do you like? What do you not like? Well, let's talk about it all. Thanks for listening.